Hello, everyone. Welcome to Financium. Today, we're hosting a podcast with Timur Mahkamov, a senior lecturer at Westminster International University in Tashkent. I'm Abdulaziz,
And my name is Abrar.
and welcome to our podcast. Can you introduce yourself, Timur Mahkamov?
Okay. I have been teaching at the university for I think more than 12 or 13 years already. And for last 4 or 5 years, I have been very involved with the students, how students actually are involved in finance, right? So I really wanted to involve a lot of students in stocks, investing, and learning more about finance. And then we opened a finance club. So basically, I am the person who is kind of coordinating this finance club and promoting financial and economic literacy in Uzbekistan.
Yeah, that's very great to hear. And we also know that you have done a PhD on improving corporate governance transparency in joint stock companies in Uzbekistan. And you're also a coach, national coach of IEO team, International Economics Olympiad. So we are very honored to have you here. And let's start our podcast.
Sure, let's get into it.
Thank you. I just wanted to correct that I'm not a national coach, but I am a team leader.
Yes.
So we have a lot of other coaches, but we would like to have more coaches. So I would say I'm more like a person who organizes things and,
Leads all of those.
Yeah. So, yeah, but to be a coach it's even harder job. So.
All right.
All right, then we can move on to the questions, right?
Yep, sure. So to start with, we want to start with the basic questions. And our first question for you would be, what money advice do you wish you had ignored at 18? So age where most young people get their first financial advices when they start their adult life. And what was the advice that was the worst, in your opinion, that you should have never taken?
Well, I don't think I had any bad advice that I'd ignored. But I think I did have some good pieces of advice that I ignored. This is basically saving money.
Saving money.
Or starting working earlier, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it would even be possible to do that because 20 years ago, when I was probably your age or when I was a high school graduate, right? We did not have those opportunities that you guys have. We did not have many, I would say, sources of income as students. As you know now, you can do a lot of things as a student, right? You can work part-time, you can invest your money, you can buy Bitcoin or anything like that, right? But back in, let's say, 2005, when we were students, when we were high school students, right? We did not have many things to do, meaning, so the only thing I did, like side hustle, I was basically teaching math and English to other kids.
As a kid. So basically, you mentioned that now we have more opportunities, especially with the development of social media. With the rise of social media, there are plenty of jobs that basically any teenager or even kids can get into it and make some money. And as we can see, a lot of people, even in our country, in Uzbekistan, are making tons of money out of social media. And I think that's the rise of the opportunities that didn't exist back in your time.
Sure.
Yeah. First of all, yes, because of social media, and I think foremost, the biggest reason is that Uzbekistan was not open before 2016, as you might know, right? Yeah. So we had this currency liberated only 2017 September, right? Yep. 2017 September, and before that it was very hard. The Uzbek economy was closed. Nothing was privatized. Well, not nothing, but very, very few things. Everything was owned by the state. but still, we're moving a little bit slower, but still we're moving in the right way, I think. And there are more opportunities, meaning there are some companies who can hire you with some other jobs like financial analysis or helping with accounting and other things, right? So these are the opportunities. And another thing I would also mention here about the opportunities is that grants or scholarships available now. Back then, we did not have those scholarships or grants available to the youth, right? So I think the youth agency now they're doing a great job. I wish we had that kind of agency when we were young, right? But yeah, so I mean these opportunities, and of course social media. Yeah,
Of course.
That's great. And you have studied at the Westminster University as well. Have you? Did you have a chance to study abroad, make a master's degree, or have some, I don't know, summer programs in international colleges?
Okay, yeah. So my first experience, like uh, the international experience, was in 2005. It was actually before I went to university. It was high school. So I was a Flex participant, what we call Flex alumnus, right? Future Leaders Exchange Program. It's a program that is financed by the U.S. Department of State, right? So I had a chance to live in the United States for 1 year and study there in a high school, which was a life-changing experience. And after that, yes, we had a lot of other exchange programs like work and travel and other exchange programs. But for masters, I decided to stay and do my masters here at Westminster. And now I'm thinking of doing my postdoc, like postdoc somewhere in the United States or Europe.
And do you think living in America for a year influenced your future career choice? For example, made you more interested in finances and economics? Because even back then, I think America's financial state was in a better state than our country is now.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say it's really changed, but it really enriched my understanding of finance. When I was a kid, I really wanted to be a financier, right? But I didn't really know what they did. I never knew what investment banking is. I never knew what privatization is, right? So my knowledge was very limited. But when I was in America, I took a module called not corporate governance. It was called American government, right? Basically, how government works. Then all of a sudden, I wanted to become a lawyer, right? Because law was something that was really. I mean, I was the best in my class, and American history, right?
Yeah.
But then I talked to one of the ladies who worked at Merrill Lynch, right? Merrill Lynch, a big bank, right? And she said, if you want to become a good leader or change the world, right, you should choose economics. Then I went on and chose economics. So.
Great. All right. So this was a brief introduction about you and your personal life. Moving on to the professional part of our podcast, I would like to discuss some of the misconceptions that youth in Uzbekistan currently have about economics and finance majors. Do you think that it is mandatory to attend Ivy League schools or top universities around the world in order to secure a great career at finance and economics?
No, I don't think so. But going to Ivy League schools does give its own priorities at some companies, right? Like one of the top maybe companies, they basically will not hire you unless you are one of those unless you
Graduated
went
from
to,
this school.
those Ivy League schools, I think, like this McKinsey or BCG, right, and other companies, right? But living in Uzbekistan, I mean, what are the chances that you will? I mean, what is the probability that you will hire someone who went to Harvard or to Ivy League school? Right, it's very low. So far, no. I mean, there are a lot of people who didn't go to Ivy League schools or even they graduated from other top schools. So that's why. But it doesn't mean that they don't have any chances, right? So we still have a lot of opportunities. So my quick answer for that question would be no. It doesn't matter at this stage what university you go to. You still have a lot of chances to end up
Great.
one of the best in one of the best companies.
What are the factors that you consider for a successful career in finance or economics? Maybe the ones that personally influenced your career. You think the most significant?
Well, I think it's mostly your own desire to learn something new, right? Um, when I I remember going to work and travel in 2008, right? 2008, and as you know, this is the time when the financial crisis hit the world, but it was starting in the United States, and we were basically, at work and travel, people usually try to work really hard and get 2 or 3 jobs even, right?
Yeah.
So I had only one job. That means 8 hours a day, and the rest 16 hours I was basically doing nothing, right? Of course, I was sleeping, but another
8 hours sleep.
8 hours of sleep and 8 hours of work and 8 hours of doing nothing. I was very bored. So this was my first time I basically ordered books from Amazon, and I ended up ordering 2 books from Amazon about investing. So it was 2 books by Peter Lynch. And I started reading those books, right? I was just staying at home and reading those books, and that's where I actually learned how investing works. And so one of the factors for becoming, I would say, at least interested in finance or economics, I think you should at least
Continuously
try to learning something new on your own, not something that the university gives you. Like if you are the person that gets only whatever the university gives you, you will be the average person, right? But if you get something more, then that's where you have your competitive advantage, and that's probably when you have some kind of success compared to your peers.
Yep. And if we stay in the context of the books, how important was reading books in your journey for becoming such successful economics?
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm a successful economist, right? So mostly I do think that what I have learned, what I have read, is helping me what I'm doing now. So I think reading books of course, it was successful because, as I said, it gives you something extra above average that others don't know, right?
Yep.
So my answer is very, very useful.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
useful.
What I wanted to talk about is that nowadays a lot of finance books, especially about financial literacy, are quite outdated and do not really match what youth needs now to become financial literate. Of course, there are a lot of books that give you a really good foundation, that standards that never change, but still I think the world always moving forward and everything changes over time. So do you think these financial literacy books, most of them needs change? Does youth need to move on and adopt some new strategies in order to improve their financial literacy?
Definitely. I think nothing should be staying on its place for a long period of time. And as a matter of fact, for financial literacy, first we have to basically define what financial literacy is, right? Is it knowing how to save money and invest, or is it actually doing it, right? So you can read hundreds of books about financial literacy, but you may be lazy and very stubborn not to do those things, right? So, and that would be very useless. But if you read one book and get the idea, and then try to do maybe 5% of what is written in the book, that's when you actually start making change, right? So that's why I think it's more about doing what's written, what you understand. So books, they serve as a source of ideas,
Ideas.
right? Because you may not think about those ideas unless you read those books, right? Because those books are usually written by people who have seen a lot in their lives,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, for example, it's not a book, but I really like reading letters of by Warren Buffett to his shareholders,
Yep.
right? So he writes a letter to his shareholders, Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, and can you imagine talking to Warren Buffett one-on-one, right? No, I mean, of
Yeah.
course, there is no chance talking to him, right? I mean, maybe you could take a picture with him when you go, and I mean, if you see him, right?
Yeah.
But can you imagine talking to him for hours? No. But if you read his letters, you will feel as if you're actually talking to him, right? So
You're right.
you get a lot of wisdom that you would not get from anywhere else. So that's why this is the opportunity for not only young kids but for everyone to get a chance to talk to people who are way above your level.
Because they share their experiences,
Yeah.
what they did, and it's basically their life in a one book
Yeah.
that you can read and learn things from, which is, I think, one of the best ways to basically adapt anyone's thinking and their ideas, their mindset, and to understand them, and of course learn things from them.
Exactly. Even if you listen to him, like in YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Or you, exactly. They share their wisdom for free, right?
free.
I mean, these letters are available for free. So if you read them, you will get a lot of new ideas. And if you can use those ideas, and that's the, I mean, you can put a tick on your to-do list and then move on, right?
You're right.
Right. And regarding more of career choice, what influenced you to basically choose finance and econ for the PhDs and master's degree that you took? And do you think that 4 years in bachelor's education is actually enough for you to be a high-level professional in the sphere of finance and econ?
No, I think 4 years is definitely not enough. And I would say I am still learning every day. And I don't know a lot of things still because if you, let's say, new things coming up, right? So let's say you have been working on, let's say, valuation of companies, public companies, and then someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, can you evaluate my startup? Like I have a startup, but I don't know how much it costs. I don't know how much money I should ask, right?" And then you say, "Well, wait a minute, I have never done that." Well, that means you don't know about it, right? So, and then you start doing research, you start doing, you do valuation of a startup, and then you read books, you watch maybe YouTube videos, or you read some textbooks, and then you learn, right? So basically, new things, they always arise, and especially now, the world is changing very rapidly, and definitely 4 years of education in bachelor's degree was not enough. But then it's not only about the education. Yes, in the education there are some books that you have to read. There are some modules you have to pass, even if you don't like them, right? But the knowledge you get is mostly, I think it's from the things you do, right? You get the foundation from the books, but you basically learn by doing those things on your own, right?
And did you sign up for any internships during your bachelor's degree to get more professional exposure to?
I wish I did, because unfortunately personally, I did not have any company in my mind. I remember when we were to graduate, there was only one international company. I mean, the big one. It was Lukoil. Lukoil came to Uzbekistan, and everybody applied to Lukoil. And of course, they never. I think they took only one girl from our cohort, and we were like, okay, so this is something that is, there's in economics a lot of demand, but there's only one spot for a job, right? So it was not possible. So no, I did not take because they were not available.
Yeah. But do you think that reflecting back from now, how do you evaluate the importance of internships?
It's very, very important. Very
For
important.
practical maybe reasons, or do students usually learn a lot of theory in their college on textbooks, and then when they get exposed to the professional world, is there still some skills that they need to develop to be well prepared for building their own career?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are so many modules. Well, for example, I will talk about the finance modules, right? So, for example, financial accounting, right? This is something you need if you want to work and understand basically accounting, right? Financial management. If you're working in a production, you have to know how the cost of product is calculated, right? So these are the things that it will be very hard to learn if you didn't have background education, right? So yeah, the background knowledge is very important, meaning in your bachelor's degree, but of course applying those things in real life is also important. So at this stage, I would say internships are important as long as they give you something, meaning in the right field, right? I mean, as long as you learn something new. You can be a waiter, right?
Yep.
You will learn some, interpersonal skills. You will learn how to talk to people. You will learn how to be patient. You will learn how to be humble, right? They will definitely give you something. At the same time, working in a bank will teach you about how banks work, right? So that's why I think, but if you go somewhere that is completely irrelevant, then you would probably, lose your interest in finance or economics.
So we're talking about universities, bachelor's degrees, and internships now. But what are your thoughts about people who build really huge wealth without any studies or going to universities? Because there are plenty of examples of such people. What are your thoughts about them?
Yeah. So you're talking about Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, who dropped out of university.
Yeah, well, they dropped out, but
It's a huge
maybe
trend.
there are a lot of other people who are unknown, but they're at least millionaires.
Yeah.
They have pretty
Agree.
huge wealth. They don't suffer economically. They have a lot of
I know. I actually have a very good friend of mine who was very, very smart, but he also dropped out and moved to America and started his business, and he became a millionaire. But I told this sentence. I think it took me 10 seconds to say that, but it took him 20 years to become a millionaire, right? So he worked very hard.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of hard work behind it, right? And at the same time, I know a lot of people who did not go to university and went to America or anywhere else and did not become millionaires because probably they didn't work hard enough or they were not lucky enough. So if we look at the statistics, on average, if you get at least bachelor's degree, your average salary will be higher than those who did not go to universities, right?
Absolutely.
But there are some exceptions, like outliers, who did not go to school, but they had to survive. And
Yeah.
when you want to survive, you work really hard.
You have another choice.
Exactly. And then you become very successful.
Yeah. So hard work is one of the biggest points that you want to
So
make.
yeah. Hard work is good, but to be on the safe side, you should at least get something that guarantees you some kind of employment, like your bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah, because it at least gives you skills and knowledge that you can survive based on them.
Yeah, and of course, a legal right to work, like in a better position, like if you get a diploma. So
Can you please be a bit close?
closer, okay.
Oh, yeah. Now okay.
Okay.
Great. All right. We shall
You can move on. Yep. Sure. Let's talk about mindset and philosophy a little bit. What's the most overrated idea in personal finance for young people, in your opinion?
Okay, the most overrated idea in personal finance would be maybe I don't know. It's like stop stop smoking and you will earn. I mean, if you didn't smoke, you would have become a millionaire by now.
Yeah.
That's it's very smart, but it doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work.
I mean, a person who smokes, he smokes, and a person who smokes. I mean, it's not that easy to say don't stop smoking and start saving money. That is very overrated. Meaning, a person who is not smoking, he would probably spend it somewhere else,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So this is very, I would say, a little bit naive. Although I do tell my students to stop buying coffee.
Coffee.
Because in Uzbekistan, I think coffee is very expensive.
It's too expensive. Yeah.
So I don't buy coffee, but I drink coffee if it's free.
Like, I mean, if you compare the price with the first world countries, the price is basically the same.
Yeah.
But if you compare salaries, the difference is absolutely huge. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's good to sell coffee but not buy.
Yeah, that's the kind of difference.
Yeah, especially in the Uzbekistan, I think the inflation rate in Uzbekistan is almost 10% annually, and the value of money is dropping constantly. But the wages they rise not that often to match the inflation level. What do you think is the strategy for the people who want to basically combat this inflation and who want to be in a net positive position while we have this inflation in Uzbekistan?
Very good question. And unfortunately, not many people understand that. So to combat the inflation, it's just don't save your money. Don't save your savings in money, in paper money, right? Just invest it somewhere. Of course, investing may not be very easy. In Uzbekistan, for example, you have to open a brokerage account. You may not know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
But the easiest way is just put it in a bank. I mean, our banks are paying a lot of like the highest interest rates. I think like they're paying like 25%, 24%, right? Just put your money in a bank, right? And once you have enough money, buy something that like a property or I want to say car, but maybe something that will basically protect you from inflation.
Yeah, as Robert Kiyosaki has once said, you can buy a car, it can be an asset.
Yeah.
If you rent it, it is a liability if you
Right.
drive it, right?
Yeah. In Uzbekistan, if you rent it, yes, the interest rate is very high. I don't know how much it is, but I think it used to be like 30% in dollars, which is very high. But with this kind of investment comes a lot of trouble as well, right? So you have to go after it, and if your car can get in an accident, and you will have to pay for it. So the easiest way. So I'm talking about, let's say, if we're giving advice, we're advising, let's say, teenagers.
Teenager.
I don't think they will have $10,000 to buy a car. So that's why just put your money in a bank. But if you don't want to put it in a bank, just put it somewhere in a form of investment, right? So what else can you do? I mean, at least buy dollars, at least, right? If you don't want to put it in a bank.
Okay.
Or euro,
Because
right?
otherwise, your money will just lose its value. And
Yeah,
after a couple of
well, of
years-
course, dollar will also lose value. It's losing its value, but compared to Zoom, it's
It's stronger.
Appreciate.
it's stronger. Yeah,
And this were one of the investment strategies, right? The youth is now getting more and more interested in the cryptocurrencies, and this trend is really evident in Uzbekistan as well. How do you? What is your attitude towards the investment on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, things?
Well, personally, I have never invested in any kind of cryptocurrencies, but my philosophy in investing is just try it. I mean, as long as it's not, as long as you don't invest everything you have, right? I mean, don't sell your house and invest your everything in Bitcoin. But we have a lot of conversations like that. Oh, if like in 2009, I remember Bitcoin was like so many cents, right?
Yep.
And I wish I invested it. But in 2009, you would never know that in like Bitcoin would be like
This high now.
$100,000, right?
100K.
Or even more. So, I mean, if you're interested, if you believe, if you think that it's going to be a big thing, why not invest it, right? Just invest like $10, right? $10, and so that you will not regret. So, my friend said it's better to regret after doing something instead of regretting after not doing it, after just slipping this opportunity. So
that's
just
very
yeah.
beautiful
So
statement.
in terms of Bitcoin, so Warren Buffett says I don't believe in it, I don't invest. So, but I say I think you should try. Why not? Right? It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, if it doesn't hurt, why not? Right? So as long as you can just invest the money that you afford to lose, right?
Can afford to lose.
Yeah.
And do you think that there is no? I can imply from your speeches the fact that there is no universal strategy for investing. Everyone is kind of different, and someone might prefer more volatile stocks as opposed to investing on for the long term. And the financial strategy and the investment strategy, it really differs, right? But what are the principles that someone should have, like, for everyone while they're investing? Maybe it's having a 25% safety cushion, or basically some of the principles.
Right. The principles, they're actually very easy. But unfortunately, not many people understand it, or people are too greedy, or they don't want to do it. One is invest constantly, right? Like every month, right? Small amount of money. Like if you have $1, invest it. If you have $10, invest it, right? As long as you can, and don't take it out, and invest for long term, long run, right? So, and you also talked about fluctuations in stock market. So a lot of people now are interested in trading, and because why people like trading, because they want to get rich very fast, right?
Get rich quickly.
Very quickly, and it works sometimes.
Yep.
But I think less than 1%. If you look at
Definitely,
statistics, I think it's less than 1% that there are people who got very rich by trading. So, but if you look at the S&P 500 returns for last, let's say, 30 years or 50 years, right? You will see that all those up and downs overall, they're going up, right? So, I usually joke and say, invest constantly, invest for long term, and live a long life.
Live a long life.
Right? So if you live a long life, like Warren Buffett, he's what? He's 95 years old, and everybody knows him. He has how much? Like $150 billion, right?
Billions of dollars.
But nobody knew about him when he was like 55 years old.
Exactly, before he got super rich.
Yes, because he became a billionaire when he was 55 or 56,
55,
right?
yep.
That means he made 99.9% of his wealth after he actually turned 55.
55.
So that's about, like, if he died when he was 60,
Yeah.
not many people would talk about him,
Yep.
right? So that's why invest constantly for long term and live a long life. That's the best strategy to become a billionaire, I think.
So this is the way that will at least secure you very good financial future when you become older. But there are a lot of people who want to become rich at a young age, like in their 20s or 30s. What are your thoughts about them? Maybe they are doing something wrong nowadays, or they are using different strategies. For example, trading that you mentioned is one of them. So do you think it has become easier to get rich faster when you're younger than getting rich when you're already a champ?
Well, so as I understand, you're asking, is it easier to get rich like fast when you're younger or when you're old, right? Of course, I think if you have a lot of energy, and I mean, the only way to get rich very quickly is to find a very good opportunity, like a like one-time opportunity that will make you very rich, right? Um, or to do some illegal stuff. So well, that's what I think, right? But well, I'm not saying that all the people who are rich they're doing something illegal, but um, there are some people who are actually getting rich and finding out that it was illegal or because they were too greedy, right? But earning very quick money usually comes with consequences. That's why. So be patient, and when you're young, I think you should mostly invest in your education and your like connections. You know. Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think would be the best way to become rich as fast as possible in your 20s and your 30s? Most people think it's building business, and I agree because I think it's the best way to build wealth. Do you know any other ways, or is this the only viable and legal way to build wealth when you're young?
So when you're asking this question, so I wish I knew, right? Because I'm not super rich and I'm not a businessman. But if I were the businessman, I think I would try a lot of things, right? And not thinking about the outcome, right? So some people do something, right, and then give up.
You give up.
Yeah, so I think you should do something like you try one thing, it didn't work out. You try another thing, maybe it will work. So, I mean, maybe 1 out of 20 or 30 attempts will work out. So it's just a simple thing with the probability, right? It's like playing a green card, and then people think that if you're from Samarkand, you get higher chances, right? But it's not that, right? It's just more people play from Samarkand, and that's why they get the green card, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing with everything, like with the business and everything, right? So you just have to try, learn from your mistakes, try again, learn from your mistakes, and don't repeat your mistakes. And this is how you should probably do. And this is something I am doing, right? So if something doesn't work out, I try to analyze it and not repeat it again.
Yeah, that was a great answer. And I want to follow up and ask a personal question. Are you doing anything to increase your wealth currently? Maybe some ways or any businesses you want to start?
Increase my
your wealth. Yep.
my wealth.
Yep.
Yes. I increase my wealth. Usually, I have my my investments is mostly in real estate because this is something I really trust now in Tashkent. A couple of years ago, I was talking to a colleague from India, and he told me a story and said, so when he was living in Mumbai, 20 years ago, his job offered him two options, right? The first option was, do you want a flat now, an apartment, or do you want $500 every month, right? So $500 was a lot of money.
Yep.
And he said, well, why do I need a flat? I can get $500 and find a room for like $200. and $300 I will save and send it to my house, right? So to do something with it. And then what happened was 20 years later, the apartment that he was offered increased by like 20 times.
By 20 times.
Yeah. And that's what he told me. The same thing is going to happen in Uzbekistan because the population is increasing. A lot of people, they need houses, and the price for houses will go up, right? They may not go up overnight, but in 10 years' time, I think they will go up. And I can see it, right? The house, the apartment that I bought like 10 years ago, it was at least 2 times less than how much it is now, right? So yeah, so I try to accumulate by buying property, but if I don't have enough money, I just put them in stocks.
In stocks.
Yeah.
Great. So that was one of the ways that you try to increase your finances, right? But then, what do you consider to be a point where a person already has sufficient amount of money to sustain themselves for the long term, and is it always good to always earn and invest? What do you think is the threshold where people should just calm down a bit and then enjoy their life? Maybe the financial metrics, for example, for some people it might be $1 million.
A very good question. Very good question. Look, the threshold for me, I would say if I had $10,000 of passive income, that would be enough for me not to work. Well, it doesn't mean not working means doesn't mean just to stay at home and do nothing. No, not working means do whatever I want to. I mean, I could go to office and do something else, right? And not wait for my salary. Okay. So how much money, how much assets, how much worth of assets do you need to have $10,000 a month? So $10,000 a month is $120,000 a year, right? So even if you're earning, let's say 10% on your investment, right? On your investment. So how much money do you need in assets? So it's going to be like $1.2 million, right? So if you have, let's say, $1.5 million of worth of assets, and it brings you, let's say, $10,000 a month in Uzbekistan, right? I think that's enough for now. But once I have that, I will think that I will need more money.
Yeah, definitely.
So too much is never enough.
Yeah, there's no limit.
Yeah.
All right. And how much money a person usually who is trying to start their own business, especially it's very popular among the young students here in Uzbekistan, at least because I know most people, they invest a lot of their money and they don't even have money at the end of the day when they're bankrupt to even sustain their own basic needs. So in the context of Uzbekistan, what is the financial sort of amount that will allow you to slowly accelerate and set up your own business?
Well, it really depends on the type of business you want to do, right? So if you want to do something small, then I think like say $5,000 would be enough. If you want to do something bigger, maybe 5 million would not be enough. So it really depends on the business. But when people are starting their business, I really think they should think of, as you said, this financial cushion, right? So they should at least have something to, rely on when they are broke. So when they go bankrupt, but they will have some money. So that would be. It's usually in financial education or personal finance, it's usually like 6 months of your salary. So how much would it be? I mean, like, I don't know, 50 million, 60 million, I don't know.
Great. All right. We have talked about the personal finance, some of the aspects of it. I would like to continue with a quick conclusion
Okay.
of this section, so that our listeners can get out of it something, right? Uh, could you please conclude some of your most important thoughts that needs to be implemented from tomorrow, basically, for everyone who is listening to us?
Okay, so assuming that mostly it will be young people at the age of 16, 17, 18, right, who would be listening to it. So the first step you should take would be to start investing money, not for the sake of getting rich, but for the sake of getting experience for now, right? Even $1, $10 would be good. Uh, Once you develop this habit of investing and forgetting this money, right? So some people have this, habit of checking their stock prices every minute or every second, right? So once they buy the stock, and so right after like 2 minutes they check and see like what's happening to the stock, right? No, just invest your money and try to forget about it for a long term, right? But I'm not saying like invest in any stock, right? If you don't have experience, invest in ETFs, exchange traded funds, like mutual funds, right? ETFs that you can buy and forget for a long term. And then once you have money, invest. Once you have money, invest so that you will accumulate a lot of money by the time you are, let's say, 30 years old, right? 30 years old. So that's why this is the thing I wish I could do when I was your age, right? And of course, another thing is invest a lot in your education, meaning not only money, but your time, your effort, right?
Yep.
At your age, this is the thing that because I work with the kids who go to this international Olympiads, right? So I see a lot of strong people, strong students. So this year, we went to Baku, Azerbaijan, right? So and we had five guys from our team, right? And believe it or not, we had some, let's say, we had like people from 52 countries, right? And our rankings was not that bad, right? Think of Switzerland. Switzerland is a country that exports, that lives off, that makes money from providing banking services, financial services, right? And so our ranking was like one rank above Switzerland. And that really made me very proud, right? So there were four guys, one girl from Switzerland, their team, and Uzbekistan was one step ahead of them, and it made me feel very good. Yes, we were not the first, but I think we can do it by attracting more and more people, students, school kids, and motivating them to learn economics and finance.
So there is a strong hope for our youth.
There is strong hope and there is strong potential. Strong potential. So a lot of people do not understand that. They think that they have this what do you call this? The ceiling, right? That you cannot see, but you say, well, no, Harvard is not for me, or getting the best one in let's say IEO, the International Economics Olympiad, is not for me, right? But no, it's everything is possible. So you just have to, prove to yourself that this is possible and try, and it will basically work.
Yes, sure. And even if someone may not get the highest, points and scores in the IO, or may not get into, top U.S. colleges, they still should not lose their hope and go on.
Absolutely,
reading.
absolutely,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a matter of university that decides your own life, right?
Of course, of course. The university just gives you the mark, and they just give you the diploma. I have a friend who hardly graduated from the university, and he was not the best student. I can say he was lazy, but later on when he turned 30, he woke up and said, "Hey, I know I can do it." And then he applied to masters in Canada, one of the best schools in Canada, and he did it. And now he's already graduated from his master's degree, and now he's doing working for a very good company and making a lot of money.
Yeah. So it's never late.
It's never
to
late,
sense
no.
with your life.
It's never late, but it's better to start earlier.
Of course. The earlier you start,
Yeah.
the more you get, because you never know how long how much time you have left. So, and I also wanted to ask about debt and credit in our
Mhm.
country, because it's very popular
Yeah.
in Uzbekistan, right? So, what are your thoughts about it? Do you think people are using debt and credit in a right way?
Mhm. Personally, know a lot of people who took a lot of debt, credit, loans from banks like microzayim, right? Microloans, and don't even know how much the bank or microfinance organization is charging them. I know people who are financing their businesses, small businesses, with 60% of with 60% rate. 60%. 60%. This is what the microfinance organizations are charging them, but they don't understand how big the 60% is, right? So they pay, and they end up paying 4 or 5 times the product. So that's why this is something new. So that's why we have to educate people. I'm not saying don't take a loan. Take a loan as long as you can pay it off. So to make sure that the interest rate is low, and make sure that the income that you will be earning is higher. The return is higher than the interest rate. But unfortunately, not many people do that. It's better not to take a loan unless you have emergency, right? People take loans for their birthday. I mean, not birthdays.
iPhones.
Birthday meaning jubilee, right? Anniversaries, right? In Toykhana, or their weddings, iPhones, 30%, right? Annually. What else?
A lot of people are buying.
Cars, yeah, cars. Like buying a new car taking a loan. I think it's crazy, but a lot of people are doing it. It's better to buy a cheap car
Yeah.
and then update it,
Update.
right? I mean, you can buy a cheap car for like $3,000 instead of buying a car for $20,000 for a loan, right? So I don't know. I think that there is some kind of social pressure. The neighbor, their neighbors will say, "Oh, you're driving Matisse," or this kind of things. No, I don't think you should be ashamed of that things. At least it's your own, right? What else? Traveling also. So they see on Instagram, your friend is in Turkey, another friend is having fun in Egypt, another friend is having fun in Baku or somewhere else, right? And then you take a loan and go for a holiday, and after you come back from holiday, now you start paying, and you say, well, why am I paying so much money? And it feels like you haven't done anything, but you still have to pay, right? I think it's one of the worst feelings.
Yeah.
So that's why don't take loans for things that you can do by waiting and paying without the interest, right?
It's like, but not paying to the bank with interest, but paying to yourself with interest, and
Exactly.
affording yourself 2 holidays instead of one.
Exactly.
You just have to wait a bit.
Exactly. So, and I hope you guys will help me spread this word, right, to the people, like to educate people.
Absolutely. And I've also heard that if you want to take debt and or credit, make sure that it's an asset, not a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because rich people, for example, they use a lot of debt actually, but they use that money to buy things
Mm-hmm.
or assets, or they invest it that makes them more money in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, poor people spend that money on liabilities, or they just waste that money, and now they have to give that money back, and also a huge interest rate, which basically creates a clear line between rich and poor. So I think that's one of the
Exactly.
clearest explanations.
Yeah, but I have to argue on one thing. There are some people let's say they are homeless, right? They're homeless. They have two choices: either to rent an apartment and pay, let's say, $400 or $300, or to get a loan and still pay, let's say, $500 or $600, right? So in that case, I think it's better to take a loan, although it's not an asset, right? It's a liability, yeah, but you still have to have a house, right? In Uzbek culture, we have to have a house, right? So, and you know that the house price will go up, right? So in that case, it's good. But we cannot say, oh, you're poor. That's why you're taking. Oh, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to. I don't want to criticize people because they're poor. If they're poor and work hard and earning their money and paying off their debt, why not? I mean, they're doing a good job.
It's like for the long term, you would pay the same amount of money for rent.
Yeah.
If you pay the same amount for loan, at the end of the day, you end up having that as your own house.
Yeah, your own asset. It will appreciate in price, and it will belong to you, unlike the apartment that you were renting out, right?
So this is also a lesson of financial literacy. So you have to know when it's good to take debt and when it's not a good idea.
And do you have some personal tips for budgeting your money, your own personal money? So maybe the percentage you spent on yourself, on family, on investments, on other.
This is something I teach everyone what to do, but it's very hard to follow myself, right? So that's why what I do is I try to keep all my money in deposit and to have very limited money for spending. And I know what I have to. So whenever I get my salary, I try to pay off all my expenses, like for my kids, for everything, right? And then, I mean, like those exact things that I have to pay for. And then I just put other money in my. I either buy stocks or put in my brokerage account, and then I just keep it there. So in terms of percentage, well, I think you should at least try to invest like 30% of your money, right? 30% of your money. But there is no like golden rule, 30% or 20%, right? But it really depends on your expenses, on your income, right? So that's why there's such thing, you've probably heard, pay yourself first. So I would say pay the things that you have to pay, like your bills, your kids' schools and everything, right? And then pay yourself, meaning your savings. And then just keep your money just in case for the next months. If you have this difference, you will save it and invest more.
All right, great. To conclude our podcast, it's already a bit, we're running out of time. The last thing that I really want to ask you is, what advice would you give? 3 tips for yourself, 18-year-old, if you lived in this in 2025 as an 18-year-old person.
Mm-hmm.
What advices would you give to yourself to increase your financial freedom and achieve it ultimately and build a very successful career, finance and econ?
Okay, to build a very successful career, if I was 18 years old and if I knew the situation, I would definitely move abroad, let's say to the US, right? Or Europe, and get very good internship or job in one of the big banks or investment banks somewhere in advanced economies, right? Because I tried to do the same thing here, but our market was too small, right? Yeah. And I did not have that opportunity. So if I was 18, just go for it. Get the experience in the big name, like, I don't know, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, right? It will really sell your name, right? The second thing, as I told you, invest whatever you can, like save whatever you can. And the third one, Probably get some professional qualification, like CFA,
ACCAs.
ACCA, because I don't know why, but when I was 18, I never heard of CFA. I don't know why.
I think most of the people do not.
I don't know.
Until
Yeah.
25.
So these are the advices. But if I knew that the Bitcoin would be so expensive, I would I would buy Bitcoin when I was 18. Yeah.
So
Right.
no one can predict the market.
Yeah.
No one can predict the future.
And the last question, actually, do you think that AI is going to replace the finance jobs and the economists? Because I see a lot of tech companies, big companies like BlackRock, they use the AI data centers to predict the market. It is, of course, higher accuracy, but it's still not 100%. Or do you actually think that the role of humans, the human behavior and psychology, actually influences the spending patterns and the market trends?
Absolutely.
Still need.
So for the first question, AI and robots are already replacing financial analysts. I mean, or traders, right? So if you go to the big, like to American markets, people are not executing any orders anymore. It's all about the robots and algorithms, right? And your second question about people's behavior, I think it's very hard to predict because it's people. So sometimes we say finance is harder than physics because in physics there are rules, there are laws that work, right? So there's the gravity, right? It's like 9.8 meters per second or per minute or something, right? You know the speed of light, it's 300,000 kilometers per second. I mean, you cannot change
They're
it.
constant. They don't
But what
change.
about finance? It's not constant. Your decision depends on the decision of the market. And who is in the market? Thousands of other people who also think that their decision depends on yours. So that's why it's very, very hard to predict what's going to happen with the stock price in 2 days or in 1 month, right?
Basically, like if everyone knows the pattern, the
Yeah,
pattern
I
is
mean it's
already
not.
useless.
Yeah,
After
exactly,
creating
exactly.
creating
So markets are inefficient. Markets are inefficient, and it's very hard to predict something. So that's why we say finance is actually harder than physics.
Yeah, all right. At the end of the day, listeners, you've had a good time of listening to Timur Mahkamov, a senior lecturer in Westminster Economics Department and Finance Department. We hope you enjoyed your time. And actually, I wanted to do this initiative. Let's do, we will pick 3 books on finance, and you will sign those books and write a special advice inside those books, maybe like a quote, one of your personal quotes, so that we can give to our listeners who are most active in our comment section and can support us in some way. So, yeah, that's the end of our podcast. Thank you so much, Timur Mahkamov,
Yep.
for coming
Thank you
and
for inviting.
giving your time. Hopefully, more and more youth in Uzbekistan will be more financially literate, and we will have a great potential to actually be one of the most developed countries in the world.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you very much for coming, for your time.